Hello again, I'm in a park in Kiev. I'm going to go to, if all goes well, to Kremenchuk soon and to Chernovtsi. To Kremenchuk to go see a house. Chernovtsi probably, if all goes well, for a bicycle. I'll probably return then to Kiev with the bicycle. I'm going to hire some storage space here, but I'll see how everything goes. So I will show you some about that when it happens and if it happens. But now I would like to tell a little bit more about antisocial behavior. As I mentioned in the previous video, this is very important to understand people. I would say it's the essence that you need to start with to understand people. If you know the worst people in this kind of behavior, of the worst types of antisocial behavior, then you also recognize quickly the less but still present forms of antisocial behavior, antisocial personality, which can have an effect on you or on your relationship, friendship, anything. So recognizing the signs is very important. There are other issues such as what happened with the former friend in Zhytomyr. So she was very impatient. She felt I should have made a decision on buying a house in 2 weeks, whereas I had to make all the trade-offs between buying a house close to Zhytomyr, the big city, or not. I like, for example, up to 10 kilometers or so. It's a fantastic distance to ride a bicycle. Then I don't care how often I need to ride that. It doesn't tired. It's not tiring. It's more that it doesn't get boring. You're there before you get bored from the ride. When it's 25 kilometers, it's different. I've done that when studying, for example. I went from where my parents lived to Leiden, which was about 20 kilometers, to the center approximately. And that distance, but possibly also dependent on that route, it got very, very boring for me. I really disliked riding that route. Whereas if it's 10 kilometers, then just doesn't matter how boring the route is. You're there before you get bored. So there are some things you need to do. Then you need to just think about, for example, getting a car or getting an electric motorcycle. And I hadn't thought about that before. So these are all things you need to keep in mind. Okay, back to that friend. But this is a bit about, you may feel the same. I don't know about the distances to ride. So back to this friend. Yeah, I wanted to put in a bit of bicycle stuff. I'm going a bit to the park on the other side. I haven't been there yet. Because I wanted to go to the storage facility, but it was closed. Not a problem, I'll go tomorrow morning. So I'm thinking about a 1 cubic meter storage. I could put a bike in there as well, and other stuff. Bike in there by taking the wheels off. The bike that I want to go buy is one with a pinion. So I'll go to the other side. It's a bit noisy here. Don't know what it is, what they're doing. Pumping something. This is below the subway, by the way, the metro. There's the metro entrance. It's an electric generator for something, I don't know. So, back to that friend. She wasn't really that antisocial, but there is something unfriendly in her. But the main issue that she was impatient, and she does want to see the same, making quick decisions in others. But as I mentioned, she doesn't always do it herself. So the issue here was impatience plus not enough self-control to deal with her problems. She didn't like something, but then she pushed that onto me. I need to do the same, need to make quick decisions, blah blah blah. Pushing your views onto others where it doesn't make sense. What the police is of course antisocial behavior, but not as strong as a psychopath, for example. Psychopaths just don't care about anyone. But how you can recognize them is expressionless face. That's the giveaway. Almost all cases. Sometimes they have a smile. That was the woman with the woman I dated in Kiev, the actress. I saw her I think on a picture in Zloty Vik, like a jewelry chain store or something like that. No, I'm pretty sure that's her. So she is in modeling still. She used to do that as well, besides making films. That was not really something big. TV series she was in. So recognizing these features is very important. For example, as I mentioned, the smile or the half smile. It's like many of these people have an eternal half smile. It's like not a real smile, but a smile that you know is fake. I don't know how to explain it, but once you know it, and you recognize it everywhere. You recognize that the smile is fake, and it is a disguise that they use to make themselves seem normal, something like that. So signs that you can use is such a half smile. Other signs are expressionless face, the half smile being eternal and nothing else on the face changes is of course the same. Another sign, I'm going down here a bit just to relax a bit, sit a bit perhaps. Another sign is, for example, that conversations don't flow. So I mentioned this woman with a man coming to my house to look at it. And this woman, the conversation on the phone was weird. I hadn't experienced that before, but the conversation did not flow at all. I thought, weird. So they came to my house, and as I mentioned, I had this weird feeling like, did someone die? And that's because of her, of this woman. And then I realized also after remarks she made and how she looks, zero facial expression, stupid remarks, and thought, oh, she's a psychopath. That explains everything. And for another example, you should have a look, or you can have a look if you want, at a video on YouTube. It's an interview with kitboga. Kitboga is an anti-scammer. And he has an interview with a guy, and watched it and I thought, this guy looks like a psychopath. There are two reasons for that. One, zero facial expression. Two, the conversation doesn't flow. And you see in the video that this guy there's nothing coming out of him. It's like a black hole. Everything goes in, nothing comes out. Kitboga then tries to keep the conversation flowing several times. I didn't watch all of it because I wasn't really interested. I don't particularly like his style of anti-scamming either. I mean, it's too much like theater. You get too involved yourself in it. It's not something for me. I wouldn't do it, but I also don't like to watch it. You can see Kitboga trying to keep the conversation flowing. So conversation goes dead. And Kitboga then makes some remarks to keep the conversation flowing, and you can see that multiple times. At least in the part that I watched, I already saw it, so it'll be probably all over the video. Interesting statue. I like the parks here, but as everywhere in Kiev, you hear the car noise in the background. Doesn't matter where you are, in what park. But still pretty nice. Nicer than in the Netherlands. Parks in the Netherlands are just not cool. Let's see. Oh yeah, it's also funny. Yeah, there's two things funny about that video. I showed it to a relative and I asked her, what do you think about this? And she immediately said, he looks like a psychiatrist. Anything else, I asked? No, not really. So I said, you're correct, he is a psychiatrist. But what I think is that he's a psychopath. And in the comments I read somewhere with that video as well, that he scored high on the antisocial personality test. And I thought, yeah, you don't need to tell me that. That's already blatantly obvious from what he shows in the video. Let's see. Oh yeah, funny thing that he said. You see how misguided these people are about their own abilities, about themselves. He mentioned, for example, about so it's also somewhere at the start of the video that he asked Kitboga, do you know who else can manipulate people? So I thought, oh no, he's going to say that he can manipulate people. And then he said, exactly as I expected, that he can do it. And I thought to myself, no, he can't. He uses what is that people want to believe, that someone is telling the truth, or that they're going to get what they want, that things are going to go well for them. That's all he can do. He cannot manipulate. He's incompetent because he doesn't have a normal expression. He cannot have normal conversation. That's all clear from that video. And not just that one. It's with all these people. It's exactly the same. They are not smart also because they cannot think normally. That means they cannot reason normally. It all comes from the antisocial behavior. You can deduce this from principles, as I've done. And it's very interesting that once you understand this, you understand everything about these people. Recently, a few days ago, what was it, 2 days ago or so, or perhaps just yesterday, there was a video from Times Radio. And it was about psychiatrist explains what is wrong with Putin. And what happened? First point. He did not explain what's wrong with Putin. So Putin is a psychopath, but he is what I call an idealistic psychopath. Same as Hitler, he has goals, he wants to achieve those, and he doesn't care about any consequences. For example, the talk about wanting to protect Russians in the Donbass is complete and utter bullshit, because he's already sacrificed, what was it, like 250,000 Russians? Same as Hitler. He cares about his people, but he cares so much that he sends millions of them to their deaths. So obviously he doesn't care. I'll go back. I'm almost ready with this video. He doesn't care about them. Doesn't care about anyone. He meant this guy from the Times Radio video. Yeah, said it correctly. Also said, yeah, Putin is a genius, blah blah blah. No, he's not. He's a moron. All antisocial people are morons. They cannot properly reason. They're like one move ahead thinkers. They cannot think 5 moves ahead or 10 moves ahead. So they cannot deal with they cannot imagine consequences if things go different than to plan. Whereas, for example, when I'm reasoning, I think ahead to the possible consequences and the consequences of that and what other people can do and say. This is also what made people extremely annoyed when I argued about certain topics in certain GNU news groups about licenses, for example. Then they couldn't come up with anything to counter my arguments, because I had already thought of the counter arguments and I took all of that into account into my position. So I think ahead, like I'm saying something, I do it in my head. I say something, someone says something back, and I counter that or not. If I can't counter it, then it means my position is incorrect. If I can counter it with something, then I can adjust my argument if necessary to already include the rebuttal to that criticism in it. And that's how I argued, and people got really, really annoyed about it, because people generally are not truth seekers, as I mentioned. They want to see their beliefs and worldview confirmed. Most people. I'm not like that. When someone sends me an email or a message with criticism, for example, then I think about it. Say, is there something to it? Perhaps I can adjust or need to adjust something. Usually not, but there are some cases. For example, I don't think brake tail lamps are useful at all on bicycles, but someone mentioned the case of tram tracks, and said, yeah, perhaps, but you can also think about, so those are not obvious obstacles that are occurring, but on the other hand, if you're cycling close to someone, then you will be aware of those tracks yourself too, so possibly still not really useful. So my original argument for not thinking much about the usefulness of brake tail lamps on bicycles is that on bicycles you can see past the bicycles and see what obstacles there are, and with cars that's not so much the case. Yeah, it's a nice walk here in the parks. Okay, that's it for now. I will make a video about a few examples, but also other topics, such as a guy called Shunyamurti, what actual name is Robert Trudeau, so-called guru about meditation, etc. And a lot of these guys are similar to the people dealing who are producing stuff for sovereign citizen beliefs. They're the same type of people. As I mentioned in a previous video, it's like sovereign citizens are like cult members, and that's really the case. But there are other similarities too between various groups, other types of groups that are very interesting, and once you realize it, you see how everything is connected and how you can explain different behavior, views of people in different groups from what you already know from other groups, because it's essentially the same. Okay, that's it for now. Bye.